Welcome back, my proper compadres. This is proper Jeremy Hill coming at Hill. I'm on a hill. Did it again! What's up, everybody? This is proper Jeremy here, coming at you with another in-car review, this time for spoilers of the Joker movie that I saw yesterday at the time of recording this video. It was a fantastic experience. I loved it. I saw it in 70mm projection. It was a great experience, especially for the time period in which it takes place. The Joker movie, like in the 30s or something. They have like a Charlie Chaplin movie, so that kind of shows you where they kind of are. So yeah, it was an incredible experience. First off, I just want to say again, spoilers for anybody who's watching, just in case you didn't understand from the title. If not, if you watch this spoiler review and did not expect spoilers, then consider your expectations subverted. Anyways, on to the spoilers. First off, Joaquin Phoenix is playing Arthur, and it starts out with him, putting on some makeup, he's getting ready for one of his gigs, and then it cuts to him in a psychiatrist's office, and he shares like a journal of some messed up stuff, and he's kind of like really hesitant about what's in there, because he's kind of insecure about his thoughts. He also, with this clown stuff, he wants to be a comedian. He wants to, do stand-up. He wants to do material or something. That's at least what he says he wants to do. But then shows that he is taking care of his mother and giving her baths, which is really weird. So there's a really odd relationship there. You find out a lot more about that later. And then he meets and then he gets beat up a couple of times. And one time is when a bunch of kids steal his sign. Another time is on the subway. These kids are, beating him up. And then, right before that, he's given a gun by one of his co-workers, just for safety, for doing him a favor, if you will. And so, and he's also a bit of a douche to him too. So then, when those guys are beating him up, he takes out his gun and kills all three of them on the subway. And it's like, wow, that just happened. And at that point, like, it seemed like a lot of his life, he wasn't quite in control of anything about his life, anything that was going on around him. He couldn't quite, figure things out. And that seemed like a point where, like a turning point of the film, where it's just like, oh, shoot. Like you can see it on his face that he just feels like, yes, this feels right. And he's very calm, and it was just kind of strange. It didn't seem like he felt any remorse. He just went back home and just went off his merry way. And then you find out that there are a bunch of the three of them were employees of Bruce Wayne's dad's thing, I guess, Thomas Wayne, his company, or Wayne Enterprise, whatever I don't know, whatever it's called. I forgot what it was in the movie, but they, and they found out that it was some guy who was wearing clown makeup, and he had just got fired earlier that day, and so that was a big mess. So then it starts all these riots with a bunch of people who are like vigilantes or something. They're protesting the Wayne industry because they are just catering towards rich people. They don't care about poor people. And I guess Thomas Wayne is running for mayor. But then something interesting happens. He finds a letter that his mom is writing, and he's writing it to Thomas Wayne, and he mentions that Thomas Wayne is Arthur's father, meaning that Bruce Wayne and the Joker are half siblings. So that was kind of strange. I didn't see that coming. And then he meets up with Thomas and somehow, and he says, that no, he was just an absolute, like she was crazy, she was nuts, you know, like you were adopted, which was something that he did not take lightly. But that, and you know, I understand that, you know, Thomas was very frustrated because like this wacko is just coming at him, and you know, when you have that really crazy, you know, ex or something that just is just nuts and will not leave you alone, like that's the kind of chick she was. And she apparently worked for the Wayne Enterprise or whatever, and I guess she just, I don't know, I guess she just went nuts. He went to an asylum or something and got some documents, and it proved that Thomas was correct and that Arthur was adopted. And so when his mother gets sick, she's in the hospital, and at some point, you know, he decides to kill her. And something that happens earlier is like this chick, like who's supposed to be like this like love interest, which was all made up, by the way. Everything was completely made up, except she is a real person, but he was just fantasizing about her and stuff. I know I'm jumping all over the place. I'm driving in LA traffic, so my mind isn't totally like, I'm not great with a synopsis. I suck at doing that, so yeah, but I'm just gonna, from here on out, I'm not really gonna tell you, like, you know, beat for beat what happens, but I'll just tell you how I felt about certain parts. So what happened after Arthur kills his mom, okay, so he smothers her with a pillow, and that's when I'm just like, okay, now he clearly is just, he's on some other level now of craziness. He stops taking his meds, because, well, the whole psychiatric thing that he went to, yeah, they cut funding for that, and, you know, that shit, that's really just kind of like, oh, wow, you know, that gives you this perspective of, oh, you know, this is a message, a conversation that this movie wants to have is about mental illness, which I said in my spoiler-free review. And it's very prevalent in that moment, you know, because you never know, like somebody, like a lot of people need this treatment. People need help in order to, you know, just maintain their own sanity. And otherwise, like, this kind of stuff could happen. Not like this, but you know what I mean. So then after that whole thing with his mother happens, there's this, he goes back home and he's like about to put on makeup. He's going to be on this talk show, which his clips were already aired, and essentially the talk show guy played by Robert De Niro. I'm just going to call it the De Niro show. Robert De Niro is, he makes fun of him, and he sees those clips, and then somebody, I guess an assistant, calls him and asks if he wants to be on the show. So he's getting ready in his apartment. He has the white makeup, which is really creepy, and two of his co-workers come up. One of them is a guy who gave him the gun, and the other guy is this, like a little person. He's a midget, or a little person, whatever you want to call him. He's a short guy. He was kind of like a, not like his boss, but like an assistant to him or something. And they say like, hey, you know, people are looking for those guys that were on the subway, so watch out. And then one thing leads to another, and Arthur just kills this big guy, just stabs him in the eye with these scissors, smashes his head against the wall, and just sits there and laughs while the guy's bleeding, and then the guy dies. And it's just like, he just killed this guy in front of someone else that's there, this little person. He's like freaking out, like, ah, ah, oh my gosh, like he's just like, he's like, oh shit, he just killed that guy. I'm next, like, this is where my life ends. And he's freaking out. So and this is, by the way, this is my favorite scene of this whole movie. It was so brilliant, it was so great, and it was so perfectly timed. So the guy, so Arthur says to the guy, no, it's okay, I'm not gonna hurt you, you can go. And then so he lets him go, but then he tries to reach the lock that's on the door that he did when the guys both came in. So you're thinking like, oh shoot, did he premeditate this? Did he do this on purpose? Is he actually gonna kill this guy? And then he says like, hey Arthur, can you help me with this? He's like, sure. But he goes up and he just opens the door for him, unlocks it, and just lets him go. He just lets him go. And he says like, you're the only person who was ever really nice to me, which is kind of like a message of like, hey, don't be a dick to somebody who might murder you in your sleep. Like, that's probably a good rule of thumb. Be nice to everyone. So with that being said, then what happens is, you know, which is, you know what, I'm gonna stay on that for one more second. So it seems like that guy didn't even say very many, like, he didn't say too many kind things. He just wasn't like a dick to Arthur. So he just wasn't a douche. Like he I don't know. So I guess being civil to somebody means like being nice, I guess. So I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know, but it was just strange to me. But then after that, he goes onto the talk show and he goes on his speech about, and he instead of doing any stand-up, and he's in full Joker makeup, like the classic look that you imagine. After he dances on the street and stuff, there's these detectives who, that he kills that were after him. So after that, he goes on the talk show, and then, you know, he overhears hears something about the talk show host like making fun of him, and you know, you're thinking like, in scenes prior to this, you had just him on the couch, Arthur on the couch, in his own living room before this scene happens, and he's mimicking to himself exactly what he's going to do on that show. You know, he steps out and he talks to the guy, talks to Robert De Niro, and then he mimics shooting himself. So, you know, Arthur's very suicidal at this point. You don't know what he's up to, and then what happens, in that moment, instead of shooting himself on the show, he shoots Robert De Niro in the head, just on live television. Just shoots him, and then it just unloads the gun on him, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that just happened. Like, I probably should have expected that, but it just, that moment just, it felt very real to me. It just, especially with the, whatever camera it was that was filming it, it might have been the projection too. It felt very real, and I was just like, wow, that was, wow. And, so after that, you know, everyone panics, and then there's all these, the whole street is just packed with a bunch of people in clown masks, just rioting, and then Arthur's in the back of the cop car, and then I guess he gets broken free, and because somebody crashes into him, and then he just feels this powerful moment of just, it's just him standing up on the cop car, and all of these people in clown masks are just going like, hooray! You know, and it's just so, oh, it's so weird, but, and it's just, like, I just, you know, I felt something there. Like, it was just like, this is a great cinematic moment, and I loved it. I loved, you know, the build up to that moment. It was fantastic. And just slowly seeing Joaquin Phoenix, you know, just go insane is just brilliant. And yes, like, Bruce Wayne is in this movie, and during all that chaos, when all the clowns are just like rioting in the streets, yeah, one of them just shoots Bruce Wayne's parents. So I guess that's how it happened. I knew that was gonna happen too. It's like moments like that, moments like, you know, this hot chick that he's been fantasizing about, it's just not real. I saw that coming. And then even before, when we're talking about how he was related to Bruce Wayne, or that false, you know, sense of like, oh, like he's related. I'm like, what? Nah, this isn't right. So I was just like, I'm not believing this. This is a red herring. And I was right. So, yeah. Overall, though, I thought that this was fantastic. Every moment that Joaquin Phoenix is on screen, which is pretty much every single moment of the film, essentially. And by the way, the movie ends with just him leaving another, like, he's in an institution or something, and another lady is, like, talking to him. And then the last shot is just him walking out of that office with bloody footprints, so I guess he killed her too. And then he's just running around, like, in a goofy clown way, away from all the doctors, and it's just, wow. Like, I'm just like, this was great. It was a great character movie. It was it was just awesome. I loved every single moment of it. Well, not so much. I didn't really enjoy the first act. I thought it was kind of slow, but once you get past that, you're gold. You're good. So just, if you're gonna go to the bathroom, go during somewhere in the beginning, you know, before all the cool stuff happens. But yeah, once you get past the first act, like Act 2 and 3 are great. And there are some moments that that I really felt like, oh my gosh, like, what is he gonna do? Because one of the main things that Joaquin Phoenix does, like, he made it so the Joker's now, like, unpredictable, which is what the Joker should be. And he's just, it brings all this chaos, and he didn't even want to start all of it, but he just did it, and he did it by just doing it himself and feeling the sense of power that he's never had before. Being in control of something feels so good to him, and I think that Joaquin Phoenix did a great job of implementing that. And so anyways, I thought it was fantastic. I suggest to everybody to go see this movie. It was one of my favorite movies that have come out this year, and I'm so glad that people have recommended this to me, and I love that how there was all this controversy over it, which really was a big hoopla about nothing. Like, there wasn't even that much security where I was, in all honesty, and I think this whole thing was just blown out of proportion. Like, I probably wouldn't have thought, you know, to really have gone. I would have thought twice had it not been for all this media, this free media that they got. And so they got my money, and you know what? I would highly recommend everybody go and see it, because it is a great piece of art. Todd Phillips did a fantastic job. Everyone did a great job, and yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you all so much for checking out this video. Live long and proper, and as always, leave a comment down below what you thought of the Joker movie if you've seen it, and as always, have a great day.